What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Rewired Live. We are on episode 29. As I call them, trainings. They are trainings because we are training ourselves to be a new person, training new identities, training our nervous system. That is how we get better. That's how I want us all to look at this. But, I started out Rewired Live with, other people, and then I kind of go on to some solo episodes now as I'm doing these every day at 10 a.m. But I do want to still integrate the component where I bring other people on. And I really want to start to target other people who are in the same space as myself, other experts, because this is just some of the most important information we need out there. And it just hasn't been talked about enough, And I think the nervous system has, really come to light over the last few years, but there wasn't a lot of research, I don't think, on it before, like the last 20 years they've researched it, but before that, it hasn't really been talked about. And I think it's so important when we talk about identity and I think nervous system we're going to get into a lot today because that's what Tommaso, he has a whole app around it, which looks pretty insane. But understanding how to leverage nervous system regulation as a high performer, as an executive, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as someone who's in the heat of battle. Like, nervous system regulation isn't just for people who are in the hills meditating and they're yogis. It's like, no, this is like probably the single greatest high performance tool you can understand how to regulate. So I have Tommaso Sanna coming in here. So he's a strategic accountability partner for executives or high performers, right? Who want to operate at their highest level without burning out. I love it. I looked up the definition of burnout, and it was someone who is physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. And I was like, yep, that hits the nail on the head. But he's been in entrepreneurship for a long time, began at the age of 10, launching some handwritten sports letters and sold them for 25 pesetas, which I don't know if that's Italian currency. We'll have to ask him about that. But grew up playing sports all through adulthood. And now it just ignited in him this lifelong passion for athletics and leadership, innovation, service, and impact. So without further ado, Tommaso, how you doing, brother?
Good morning, Jake. I got my cup of coffee here. I invited a few friends that are going to be listening to us through LinkedIn and wherever else platforms are. We have the pleasure to hear you today and see where this conversation can go to really help some humans.
Yeah, man. I want to get into, so the title of this is How High Performers Relax Their Mind and Reduce Anxiety. So we can kind of take it wherever it wants to go, but I think just keeping that in mind, how high performers relax their mind and reduce anxiety. I'd love to first better understand your background, where you came from, and how did you get into this space? Like, what was the spark that pushed you to understand how important this was?
Yeah, you're taking me back into basically, I think it was more of a burnout period in my life where I had burned my candle, like we all do if you are in that space of starting startups. And I had burned the candle on both sides, reached a level where, wow, I really couldn't push anymore. I had a little bit of an identity, not crisis, but I would say like, why is it that I can't work out and feel the same joy? Why is it that I can't go out with friends and really be present with them? Why is it that I'm snapping? Why is it that my temperament is? And so that made me, my temperament is just not who I couldn't recognize myself, And so it made me dig in to really understand a little bit more, like, reaching out to coaches and mentors and books. And I started to do a little bit of a self-discovery about how the brain works and how the nervous system works. And it was hard because I needed to slow down. And that was not something I had, in my DNA. I had trained my nervous and my body, my mind to just perform at peak performance through athletics, and maybe at school, showing off my parents that I was a good kid, good grades, get that applause, good job, So learning all of that really brought me down to my knees to really open up in prayer. And that's where I met my discovery of this I would say the human body, the way it's designed, and nobody really gave us a manual, right? We hear that a lot, but we really don't have a manual. And it seems like all the chapters are all over the world. You have to kind of discover them. Who has the next chapter? And it's a little bit of a journey. But yeah, without further going into more and more, it brings me to have found a place where I'm able to serve others. I think that is the journey of any good Samaritan. To really just pass the baton and help others. Like, hey, listen, I know exactly what you feel. If you try to do this and that, I've always been in that coaching ability, right? I've always been a trainer, a coach for a very long time.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful thing, man. Very similar path for myself of sports. I was an ice hockey player for a long time, man. Just only, and I never played it. Initially, it was for the love of the game, but it just turned into validation. I got to get on the best teams, be the best, get the recognition. And then when I went into college, it was the same thing. Let me be accounting, finance major, loaded up, investment club, this, that. And then it just goes right into entrepreneurship. It's like David Brooks has a really good book called The Second Mountain, where he talks about everyone climbs that first mountain of achievement. And then at some point, whether they're 28 or 38 or 48, 58, 68, they realize this isn't doing it for me. So I think that's an important thing to understand is when did you reach the peak of that first mountain, would you say, when you were doing all that stuff and you were burning it, and then you got to the point where you're like, you finally decided, you're like, this is not working. I have to find a different way.
This is the myth of the mountain. I've read those books. I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 in December. And so I'll take you back to, listen, God has a sense of humor. He makes you think that's the mountain, but that's just a cliff, or maybe it's just a detour to take you to another level. And listen, as we are today in 2026, I feel on the other side of the mountain, but personally, I don't know if actually there's another mountain. And how my nervous system will continue, because we are built to move forward. And since we're built to move forward, we're always going to be pushing against resistance, Jake. So we can always look back and say, good job, we overcame that together, with the community, because you don't overcome mountains by yourself. And you look back on the teachers and the intersections that you found people. But I can say that, my goodness, the mountains for me at that level of perspective, they were giant, they were huge. You know what I'm saying? There were a lot of them. I mean, I would say that particular mountain where I hit rock bottom at that level, because I've hit rock bottom, I thought, more than once, and I thought that was rock bottom. But it was in 2017, and I read The Body Keeps the Score. Remember that book?
I love that. I just actually finished reading that.
Okay. And so that was the beginning of looking at myself and say, hey, welcome to your nervous system. And let's get the manual of how the nervous system works. And that helped me overcome that little in that little situation, getting out of that, right? Be able to have enough to walk to the next level. If I'm answering your question, Jay, because I might just
it's good.
Did I answer your question? Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure, I don't digress, because obviously we met in a beautiful alignment, and so you never really knew about my story, but just to give you a little context, when I was 4 years old, I fell into a hot tub, and at 4 years old, hot water in Europe, from Sardinia, so back then, the thermostat were not regulated. And so the hot water was so hot that literally I had a 3rd-degree burn, right? And it took me, it fried my nervous system. It fried my skin. It literally just, I went into compulsions, and I went into a little bit of an in and out of consciousness, is that. So in a way, my nervous system, I had that trauma just so deep that this book, The Body Keeps the Score, for me was heaven sent. You understand? Because there was no like mindfulness or techniques or NLP that I would try in order to change my beliefs that would go deep enough into my nervous system to make me understand this is not because you're thinking negative. This is not because you're not trying enough. And so at 2017, I was around, I was about 38, 39 years old, and really nice age, right? I mean, thriving. My business, I had a personal training studio in Chicago. I was doing fantastic. I had just done 2 Ironman, one in Austin, one in Miami, running marathons. I'm talking about achieving performance just all out, burnout more than anything. But I couldn't recognize the signs. So that's a little context so you can understand like there's higher levels and mountains. We just need to keep moving forward, understanding that we're always going to need to regulate our nervous system and be able to downregulate our nervous system. We have to bring it down, slow it down.
Yes, let's talk about that though, because I think that's huge because a lot of my crowd and audience are the high performers. They're the high achievers. They're out there doing the thing, and they're looking for a more sustainable way to be able to operate without running themselves into the ground. Because the world needs those people. You know what I mean? Like we need the people that are going to go out and have impact and be change makers. But if they burn themselves out before they can have the impact that they're meant to have, then those people aren't even going to, the people that they're going to help stand to suffer. So I think that's really a big thing I'm passionate about, is like helping people deal with their inner world so they can go out and have the impact that they want to have. So in terms of, you said you had done a lot of studying, and we're very similar in that way. I'm like, I will study like all the science. Like I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I might as well be at this point. But talk about like what you learned about the human body and the practices you're starting to use now to be able to regulate.
Yeah. So as far as academics goes, I am a certified health coach practitioner, certified in counseling, coaching. I went to the Institute of Integrated Nutrition. I am getting board certified this year in the fall. So that is my foundation of like really understanding the gut and the nervous system, because obviously there was times where my gut wasn't working properly, and that was early before I would say starting my entrepreneurial career, like as far as like really having a business and having a storefront and so forth, or just having a clientele, an exchange of services, where for me is beyond the 3-year, 4-year, right? So I had a lot of digestive issues, and I remember I was still living in Westchester now, but we moved back from Chicago. But I went into the Institute of Integrated Nutrition to really learn about nutrition and to really do like a self-help. I wanted to just, number one, help myself, right? Help myself. Physician, help yourself, right? Physician, heal thyself, help yourself, and really get that knowledge. And the word doctor means teacher, right? So if you want to be a good doctor, you need to be a good teacher, a good servant. And so I also, like you, wanted to go into that level of, naturopathic medicine, and I had looked into that. But I said, there was always that thing about me that I needed to be authentic and aligned. I couldn't step into a role that I myself had not gone through or healed. I just felt like that. It's always been like a thing of mine. I needed to learn it, try it, use it, somatic, really just understand it better so I can explain and teach it. And so I went to this journey of becoming a student with the Institute of Integrated Nutrition. And you thought about getting a certificate that would train you to. The journey doesn't start like after school. You start really becoming experienced with the knowledge for yourself and others. So the journey itself is about really understanding yourself. So with the knowledge that we gather, we kind of use it on, I used it on me in order to understand how my gut was working. And little by little, like I said, those pieces started putting together. I think I diverged from your question, sometimes I do, so you have to kind of pull me back in.
No, that's good. I think so. We're talking about what you've learned. I think you bring up an important point, the gut, right? And then you have the
Yeah.
gut brain axis. They say your gut is your second brain just because how many neurons it has in it. And I'm starting to realize, like, because I've always been someone who's really prioritized my health. So I don't think I've had those issues, but I'm starting to recognize, like, hey, if other people don't have those foundational, that nutritional base and that healthy gut, like that's just, you can't even do any of the other work. You're already behind the eight ball because you don't have that solid base. Can you dive a little bit deeper into the gut and how nutrition in a healthy gut is going to help you regulate better?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful question. So we have to understand that our brain, the brainstem, it's actually responsible for our survival, right? The brainstem is that piece of the brain was first developed, and then it goes to the limbic and then neocortex. But if we are in a state of anxiety or stress, this part is stress, right? Activation, just really activate it. What your body is going to try to do is going to try to keep you in what's more important is not about stopping and getting a sandwich and eat. It's going to be like, let's run away from this threat. It perceives threat realistically as if it's happening, even though it's just in your mind and we're not being chased by a lion, or those situations are just hypothetical. We are visualizing, we're seeing images in our brain, but that's activating a very primitive primal instinct to shut down the digestive system. So now we have no brain gut axis for production of digestive enzymes. Your stomach literally goes into a shutdown. No blood flow will flow into that. Your food will stay there. If you ate and you're not digesting, you're not assimilating, and obviously you're going to be disnourished. So you're going to be hungrier. You're going to go for that extra snack or that sugar kick or that coffee because you're not getting nourishment. And you might think it's just a stressful meeting, because now we're talking about meetings, right? Or we're talking about, oh my goodness, my stocks just went down, and we're just panicking about, not panicking, but just subconsciously, it feels like a threat. And we're just, our brain-wise, operating system-wise, there's a valve that opens and a valve that closes, right? Information will either go to the brain, back to the gut, or it will just shut. That's the simplest way that I can understand it and explain it without going into the complexities.
Yeah, I think the base is there. When you are not nourished, your body, you kind of force yourself into a dysregulated state because your body's not needing what it's needing, and it's kind of putting you into that state. So having that foundation of nutrition gives yourself a good baseline to operate from. Because, there's so many things that can dysregulate us: a phone call, a thought, a situation, whatever, right? And nutrition is just one of those things. So having a good, solid nutritional base is just one less dysregulator that you have to worry about, essentially.
Yeah, as far as nutrition goes, like for that, nutrition itself, as a matter of fact, if you fast, if you don't eat when you're stressed, you actually are going to help your body better than if you eat and stress eat. So let me explain to you. It's because the food is going to stay and it's going to not be digested properly. So you're going to have all kind of putrefaction in your gut, in your stomach. You're going to get bloatiness, right? And so you're going to get that sluggish energy because your physiology affects how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much, because then we can go into the rabbit hole, which I fell into: good food, bad food. Have you heard of that? Like, that's good for you, that's not bad for you. And then we start labeling food.
Yeah.
And I went through that, and it took me over a decade to relearn a new way of seeing and having a relationship with food. And I teach my clients that to have a relationship with food, to have a relationship with work, to have a relationship with nature, to have a relationship with people, and have a relationship with yourself. As a matter of fact, we should start there. So food is not good or bad. It's how am I eating that food? Because I can eat the same thing, but I'm dysregulated. It's going to affect me the same way. So a lot of times, Jake, it's kind of like a biodiversity. We're all in different. We all come from different background, different experiences, different traumas, activations, experiences that get trapped into our cells. And we all have our DNA that's just unique. We're all unique, like a fingerprint. We're just unique. So what works for me might not work for you. That's why recommending things, I mean, it's good. You want to recommend something, but it might not have the same effect that it has on you because you don't know the other person, how they are digesting food, and how is somatically affecting them too. Because what can work for me, for example, with probiotics, a very good thing. Oh, let's get you into probiotics, get you into prebiotic. Well, maybe that person just needs a little bit of rest, like eating some warm foods and, a little bit chewing more and, really enjoying chewing. So we should take a look. How are they teeth? Are they chewing the food or are they just swallowing food? So be mindful when you're eating, because digestion happens first in your mouth with the saliva, and then it's getting ready. It's communicating to the gut, hey, I'm sending food there. Get ready to break it down and absorb it. So there is that connection that you mentioned, the axis of alignment, that when we slow down, we're able to pay attention and we're able to make those informed decisions.
I think it's a really important point. This is amazing stuff that you hit on right there. Because I first learned about, how our body shuts down from a dysregulated state from the book Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers by Robert Sapolsky. But he talks about living in the sustained stress response. He studied baboons and all this stuff. And, it's shutting down your immune, your reproductive, your digestive system, obviously pulling resources away from the prefrontal cortex. But you had said that the state that you're in when you eat food matters. And this is like such a common trap, right? Like people are stressed out. What are they doing? They're stress eating as a coping mechanism. But then it's like it's putting them into a further dysregulated state because now they have all this food in them and their digestive system's not even on to digest it, which is making them even more dysregulated. So how does someone stop that?
Well, we can overthink it and we can actually go into analysis paralysis, right? So from somebody just feeling this feelings, just getting new at this information, I would say, hey, listen, just know that your body's protecting you, number one, okay? So it's keeping you safe. Your body's your friend. It's not your enemy. So you need to understand whatever he's doing is doing from a perspective of keeping you alive, protecting you, and it's its way of loving you, number one. So you need to understand that. So befriending your nervous system is so important. Don't fight against it because that's where disease comes from. That's where cancer comes from. All these other somatic experiences are actually symptoms that we don't have a relationship with our nervous system. So the first thing you want to do is grab into resources that are going to help you, regulate. Right? Regulate means like bring your mind-body alignment so that you now are back online, right? If you and I don't have a Wi-Fi connection right now, no matter how good our topic is, if we're not going online, we won't be able to transmit this information. So the first thing we want to do is make sure our modem is connected, that we actually have signal coming in, and our signal needs to be strong. And then we can communicate, we can see each other, we can run the camera, we can read the laptop, we have lighting, all great, right? So when we are in that situation of shutdown, we need to make sure, understand, okay, I'm not online, I'm offline. Ta-da! All right, so now what do I need to do? I need to go back online. So let me take a regulating tool. That could be going for a walk, and not every regulating tool is going to work for the state that you're in. So it's very, very important that not all meditation is going to work for the state that you're in. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's the worst thing to do is like shut down and go into a closed-eye meditation if you are in a state of regulation that it's not the right tool to use. Even though it's a good tool, it's not for that particular situation. So number one, and that's maybe a topic that maybe if you want to ask me about it, we can break down. But what I would do is there's a couple of resource tools that will work for any of this regulation. If you can do is go for a walk, get outside from the state, change state, like change your environment. Go outside, Look at the clouds, look at the sun, look at nature. That's going to automatically get you back into the present moment. And now you're online. Stay there for a little while. Maybe you can go and touch the grass, touch some stuff, listen to some sounds, smell some. Try to really be creative. Like, what can I smell? Can I smell this cup of coffee? Okay, well, try to smell. Get your senses activated. Now you're back online. Now your system is like, oh, we're not being chased by a lion. We're good. I smell rose. I smell coffee. We're good, right? Because you can't talk yourself out of anxiety. You can't talk yourself out of a dysregulation system because it's in your nervous system. It's anxiety. It's in your nervous system. So you need to bring it online through the work of the senses, number one. And call a friend. Call somebody that you trust, that is safe. Get on a call with them. Listen, I need to talk to you. Boom. And maybe if you already are like that, understanding that group safe people are regulating, we co-regulate one another. It's wonderful. And my favorite sometimes being an entrepreneur, being alone is just give myself a hug. Hey, that's not that. Yep. Hey, just give yourself a hug, and that's kind of like a quick. If you feel like you don't have anybody, with modern age, with trying to navigate this world of being, we're I think it's quite a beautiful thing that we're able to work from home and we're able to work from anywhere. But at the same time, I kind of miss a little bit of the old days, or Fridays for me, when I used to have a studio and I have that clients coming in, and it was just a whole different experience. But yeah, that's what I would do, Jake. For somebody that's just new, don't overcomplicate it. Don't get into book are wonderful, and there's a time for a book, but that's going to get you back into isolation, not regulation.
I think it's amazing. And then what about for the person though, right? Because I know all that stuff works. I know I always say that peace is a performance multiplier. Like inner peace is a performance multiplier. What are you saying to the person who's like popping in this video, and maybe they are an executive or a high level, and they're like, this is stupid. I don't have time to freaking hug myself and breathe and go smell the roses. I got stuff I got to do today. Like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
What do we say to those people?
Yeah, I've been in those situations. A lot of my clients are top level C executives, and yeah, this will make them definitely. I've had that pushback before, and especially type A personalities. Yeah. But what you can do in that moment and is just sit down, shut down your phone. Maybe you can do that, right? You can shut down your input. So you need to shut down the information. Okay, you can do that. Put the laptop down. Just listen. You can close the door. Listen. You need to create boundaries for yourself too, right? Your state. Think about this. You are a state. If you understand that, it's going to click today. You are a sovereign state. So you are a state, like not just a state, like United States, Europe, a state, Italy, Spain. So you're a state, you're in your own state. What would you do for your state? Create some boundaries, right? You mean definitely diplomacy is good. So boundaries. First thing, just close the door in your office. Go to the bathroom, lock yourself in, wherever you can. Listen, this is depending on your state. You are gonna snap at some employee, and it's gonna backfire you. So what's the cost if I don't regulate? The cost could be this, and that. So, so regulating is so important for you as an executive, because your leadership position depends on how regulated your nervous system is. The more regular you are as a leader, the more you're going to regulate your team. When your team feels you regulated, you're transmitting that groundedness into them. They're going to perform great as well, because they're looking at neural neurons. We have neurons that really just that. So all I would do is just sit down, feel the soles of your feet, go through a little bit of a scan your body, and just, you don't have to close your eyes. You could just notice, you can do that. And if you can't do that, neurosis, what's called like really, really just a really hyper nervous system, might require you to do a little bit of shaking. Okay, if you can't do that, just shake. Hey, nobody's seeing you. Just shake. Do a little dance. go in there, just go like that. Listen, you got time for that? You can do a little jumping. You can move your body, just shake it, because that is going to regulate. Now my state has changed. Now I'm open. My nervous system it's present. I'm online. That's the best thing that I can ask for somebody that feels that this tool is too simple. But a lot of time that prevents us is like, I don't have time for it, right, Jake? I don't have time for that. Well,
yeah.
If you can put time for yourself, these techniques will work. You don't have to go into a cold plunge. You don't have to go to a sauna. You don't have to go for a run. You don't have to go to kill yourself in the gym. Like really just, as a matter of fact, at that moment, you need to go online with tools that are going to be getting you back into your body, because you're disconnected from your body. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are great. Great simple things. And it's like, these are things you can do in the middle of the day, right? Whether it is the breath, or I think boundaries is a huge point you made, because I think a large part of why we're dysregulated is we're overstimulated all the time. Like you're on your computer, you got Slack open, you got all the emails open, your phone's going off, this has happened, you just got out of a meeting, like your system is like, for like, and you're sitting there for 3-4 hours, being able to be aware, right? Awareness is such an important tool. Like be aware, right? Interoception. It's like, be aware when your body is in that dysregulated state. Understand, okay, boom, I got to go take a break. I got to go get outside for 10 minutes, because if not, I'm not showing up as the best leader for my team. I'm not showing up as the highest version of myself. And it's actually going to be worse. So it's actually like a performance multiplier for me to go take a break, for me to go shake it out and then come back, because I am going to be clear and execute better.
Yeah, you guys have seen dogs do that, right? They go, they shake. They're regulating. The cats, they that's what they're doing. And we have a nervous system that just it's disconnected from nature. We're not grounding ourselves. The shoes that we wear don't ground us anymore, because the plastic is interfering with the magnetic field of the earth, which makes a big, huge thing. So another things you can do is take your shoes off and walk barefoot. If you have the opportunity to walk barefoot in the grass, just ground yourself. That itself will change your state. You might need a little bit more, because everybody's different, and sometimes working with a practitioner, some coaching can help you in the beginning to learn those practices and be able to say, oh, like riding a bike. You just learn how to balance yourself, and having that work balance, and also how to create those boundaries. I have a great tip for you guys is to create on your phone some alerts that go off. Like I have a few that kind of say check in, and it's my nervous system check in. And then I pause and I check in. How do I feel from 1 to 10? Where am I? Am I regulated? Am I anxious? And I just pay attention to it. Oh, boom, that's it. That's all it takes. And it's on, you can set it up on your phone under not alerts, it's the notifications, right? You have the reminders. Sorry, it's called reminders on your phone.
Yeah.
Called reminders. Put this in, and they're so cool. They're free. I mean, I have I'm going to read them to you. I have one that says check in to regulate 1 to 10. Eat and hydrate consciously. Food affects authority. It is your authority, right? You are presenting yourself in the boardroom, presenting a sales call, whatever it is. You are checking in. Then I have a body scan. It's a 1 minute, and it says, where do you feel? You feel tight. You feel collapse. You feel numb. How's your breath going? Then I have another one. It's called an intent recalibration. It's 30 seconds. And I said to myself, I choose clarity over urgency. And I keep, that's something that I keep reminding myself, because if I am urgently reacting to something, and you teach that, Jake, then I'm doing it not from a state of harmony. When I'm reacting to something, I'm doing it from a state of panic, fear, all those activations, right? That you teach very well in your community. I love your community, by the way.
I appreciate it. I love you being on this live. This is great. I mean, I'm always learning stuff. That's one thing I think is super important for everyone, is to always be open. I mean, I am by no means do I know everything here. And I remind myself of that often. You know, I do study a lot, and sometimes it's easy for the ego to be like, well, I know everything about everything, but you don't. So I love it. Like, even it's just great. Yeah, typically I keep these things about 20, 30. So one, I want to kind of wrap up here. Just one thing, going back to the title of the show, how high performers relax their mind and reduce anxiety. Can you just give top of mind right now, what is, you know, the most important thing you think high performers need to understand to be able to relax their mind and reduce that overthinking and anxiety?
The clearer you are with your mission statement, the more grounded and regulated you're gonna live each and single day. So I would say write your mission statement with clarity, think about it, write it down, rehearse it, read it, feel it. Spend some time, 30, 40 seconds visualizing your mission, your vision. You know, be very clear with why you are doing what you're doing. That clarity is going to signal your nervous system that you are on alignment with yourself and your heart, that you are valuing your time, where you invest it. Because guess what? The intelligence that is within you understands when you are not in alignment. So if you are not in alignment, stress that you feel, that agitation, it's actually your nervous system letting you know you're out of alignment. Pay attention to me. We're not supposed to be in this meeting. We're not supposed to be talking with this person. We're not supposed to be doing this business with this person. That's not aligned with you, even though it might seem like it, because you're not paying attention to me, your inner guidance systems. So you need to pay to your inner guide, but you need to work co-regulate, like create this vision together, so that when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna feel that. Let's go, boom, and all right. No matter what, I know you're gonna feel like, the mind is always gonna think about monkey brain, right? It's gonna think, you didn't perform enough, you didn't do enough, you didn't close enough, you're not making enough. All the stuff, it's gonna come. But if you're in your state of mindfulness, you can see all those things and say no, because I'm actually journaling my stuff and I know exactly what I did yesterday. And you are clear what you did, what your mission is. Yeah, each and every. So regulating starts with clarity, Jake.
I love it.
Yeah.
Clarity.
Yeah.
Clarity. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, talking about this stuff. Ton of valuable information. For anyone who's just coming on, or make sure you go back and rewatch the whole thing. It's on YouTube, so it'll be on YouTube as well. And it'll live on LinkedIn for like 30 days. But yeah, it's been amazing, Tommaso. And just stay on real quick. I'm going to end the stream right now, but we'll talk after. But guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll get back to the solo training sessions. Till next time, all the peace, all the power.